Juventus and Paul Pogba will win the UEFA Europa League final. Juventus will still qualify for the Champions League. Arsenal are in the Premier League title race. Man United are focusing on other trophies. Barcelona are focusing on La Liga. Juventus are going to win the Europa League with Paul Pogba in 2023. Pogba is to march at 23 and 41. It is Juventus that last won the Champions League during the 41st edition of the European Cup back in 1996. Juventus will be 4-1 in the Europa League final when it wins the Europa League again. It will face off against PSG in the Super Cup of 2023. Its last Europa in 1993. And PSG's last Champions League title also occurred in 1993. And Juventus defeated Dortmund during that final. Dortmund is Gematria 37. They win the final again with Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba is Gematria 37. It is Paul that has Gematria 14. It is Juventus that will win the 14th edition of the UEFA Europa League competition. The 52nd season of the competition is going to see Italia win the competition. Italia is Gematria 52. Paul Pogba won the Europa League with Man United back in 2017 over at Sweden against Ajax. Sweden's Gematria 25. Pogba would win the Europa League again at Budapest, Hungary. Budapest is Gematria of 25. It's been 27 years since Juventus won the European Cup. It can face off against Paris in next year's Super Cup. Paris is Gematria 27. Remember, the Elkan family that owns Juventus, they are French-Italian Jews. That's what you have to know. The Juventus were docked 15 points in the league table. PSG is Gematria 15. 13 prior Europas since it was renamed to the European Cup. Juve is Gematria 13. Kostic won the Europa League with Frankfurt last year. He can win in 2023 yet again. Parma Calcio is Gematria 92. Parma was the last Italian league winner of the Europa League. Parma Calcio, Gematria 92. The last Ligue 1 title in the last Ligue 1 team to win the Champions League was during the 92-93 season. 1999, Parma Calcio won the Europa League final. This was back in 1999 over at Russia. It is worth noting that Moscow is Gematria of Budapest. Budapest is Gematria of 88 and 25. That's a big find right there. 24 years later, after Parma Calcio won the Europa League at Russia, Juventus will win. Juventus is Gematria 24. Russia is Gematria of 24. Juventus will qualify for the Champions League. It's all they're all trying to start the Super League. Right? They see Real Madrid have not been kicked out of the Champions League. Barcelona haven't been kicked out of the Champions League. UEFA will still take the money. Juventus will still qualify for the Champions League. Juventus will win the Europa 131 days after it got docked 15 points, 132 days, end day included. Juventus is Gematria 132. His championship, that's Gematria 131. Paul Pogba's last Europa League title occurred with the Red Devils. The Red Devils is Gematria 32. Juventus can be 2-1 in the Super Cup if it loses to Qatar, owns PSG. It is Qatar. That is Gematria of 21. So Juventus are going to win its fourth Europa League title in the year of the Rabbit, 2023. And Paul Pogba's signing with Juventus out with injury. Pogba and Juventus play meaningful football. The only thing that is Juventus is a big giant plan for Mourinho to go to the Champions League. For Juventus to still qualify for the Champions League, well, they don't want Roma to win the Europa now, do they? They've given Mourinho the Champions League with top four. Juventus will qualify through the Europa League. Pogba returned July the 11th of 2022. July the 11th of 2022. So that'd be 46, just 47 weeks. The 47th week since his injury is the Europa League final. Parma Calcio was the last Italian winner of the competition. Parma Calcio is Giamaccio 47. In his injury on the 26th day, he had a torn meniscus. Paul Pogba had to miss the World Cup. Just over 45 weeks later, 44 weeks later, Paul Pogba will win the Europa League to be the champions of the Europa League. A Campione is Giamaccio 53. Juventus can be champions of the Europa League before the 53rd edition of the Europa League. Campione Giamaccio 44. 44 weeks after his torn meniscus injury, Juventus can win the Europa League. Meniscus is Giamaccio 31. It is Europa that is Giamaccio 31. So good stuff. And for manager Massimiliano Allegri, let's take a look at Allegri quickly. Massimiliano Allegri can win the Europa League before the 53rd edition of the Europa League. Massimiliano is Gematria of 53. Key connection to note for the manager. So the world is out to get Juventus, but Juventus still makes it to the Champions League. 77 matches in his return with Juventus. Buffon won number 77 with Parma. Parma won the UEFA, won the Europa League back in 1999 once again. This was against Marseille, and Marseille was the last French winner of the UEFA Champions League. Marseille is Giamaccio 94, the last Italian winner. And I think it's torn meniscus. Torn meniscus is Giamaccio 53. Win before the 53rd edition of the Europa League. So this connection here is going to be significant. Marseille's Giamaccio 94. Italy's last Europa League occurred against Marseille. That's the same Giamaccio as Hungary. Hungary's Giamaccio of 94 and 40. A perfect match with Marseille. Marseille's last Champions League title occurred against Juventus. They get based off in the Super Cup against Juventus. So this is Kazan. This is Russia. Russia Giamaccio 24. Juventus Giamaccio 24. (1998, 1999). And Buffon, of course, was the keeper of that particular. And you know what's interesting, too? Enrico Chiesa scored in the 1999 final. His son, Federico Chiesa, is going to win this competition. Juventus are going to win 4 times and 5 appearances in the Europa. Chiesa is to match at 45. Enrico, Chiesa won the Europa, and before Juventus win the Champions League, they got to go win the Europa. It is all what they say. Juventus and Pogba to get the job done. They go up against United and Ten Hag. Mystery team. 24 years. There's a list of contenders in the Europa League. Juventus can win after 29 appearances. It could be a mystery club. It can be a mystery club. 22, 23 adds up to 45. Gematria of Chiesa. Gematria of 4 titles and 5 appearances. Hungaria is a word for Hungary in Italian. Let's see if that has anything of significant value. Hungaria is Gematria 47. 47 months later after Pogba's signing, Juventus win. But I think the key date in all this is going to be the return of Paul Pogba. And also Massimiliano Allegri beginning his next stint with Juventus. July the 1st of 2021 is going to be a key day for Massimiliano, and his first European final going to be a victory. Juventus last Champions League final over at Cardiff against Real Madrid. Cardiff, Wales, Gematria 53 can be defending champion of the Europa, win a European trophy before the 53rd edition of the Europa League. So Allegri became manager July the 1st of 2021. So, that'd be over 99 weeks later. It'd be the first Europa since the year 99. It'd be 23 months later he'd win the trophy with Pogba. So, yeah, how many European matches? That's 6 for Juventus. This is 6. This is 8, that's 10, that's 12, that'd still be 13 matches for Juventus. Juventus making it to the Europa League final, winning the Europa League. This team may have to connect to Paul Pogba or Federico Chiesa or Vlahovic. Juventus get Nantes in the next round. PSG began the season against Nantes in a Super Cup. Nantes is too much of 19 and 73 in the calculator. Nantes against Juventus. 3 wins, 3 draws. Juventus FC is too much of 33. Nantes FC, last Europa for Italia with Buffon. It's Buffon, that's too much of 28. Juventus in the Europa League, February the 16th to May the 31st is going to be a key day. And this gives us 2023. This gives us 104 days to the final. Fino alla fine to the Champions League. Fino alla fine. Paul Pogba won the Europa League against Ajax on May the 24th of 2017. The May the 31st of 2023 gives us the pi number 3.14. 6 years and 7 days later is Italy's gematria of 67. Puskas Arena, the site of the final. Puskas is the gematria of the 15-point deduction.